What's good, everybody? Welcome to Who Use. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be doing a review, non-spoiler review for Captain America: Brave New World. Question for today's video is, what did you expect? Because there's been so much commentary about the film already. We're only on the Saturday of its release, and I got a chance to watch it this morning. I've heard things like this is the worst Marvel movie ever. I've heard things that this is probably going to go down as one of the worst movies of the year. People are saying that it's going to be the lowest rated Marvel film in the history of the MCU, which makes no sense to me. I feel like this movie is good on my scales. Now, you can check in the description and see why I break it down the way I break it down, but ultimately it adds up to two big negatives. One, the way the movie was shot, and two, the dialogue in some spots. There's clearly some reshoots at the end, and that also goes into that visual category of I didn't like the way it was shot, specifically the ending and some of the opening action. But man, to sit there and say that this is going to be one of the worst Marvel films ever is just nonsense to me. I cannot get on board with it. In terms of the MCU and it being a Marvel film, this actually moves the narrative quite a bit to me, and it addresses things that I've been waiting for them to address as a Marvel fan for so long. And I'm happy that the film took the liberties and took the risk of doing that. I also feel like, Anthony Mackie has handled the press in talking about him being a Black Captain America. He handled it incredibly well. The film handles it incredibly well. People made a big deal about him having to go up against the Red Hulk and talking about he shouldn't be able to survive that. Again, the film handles that very well. And I ultimately go back to, what do you expect going into one of these movies? And so me, as a person who watched everything that Marvel has done, a person who has seen multiple movies over the years and have been talking about movies now online for at least 4 years now, I look at it and I say, this is in line with what Marvel does. And I don't see a reason to have such low marks on a movie that really hits in places where other Marvel films have not hit. Just keeping it on the topic of Marvel, it makes me think about the idea that this studio, people view the studio as being relatively infallible before Endgame, and then everything after Endgame has been on the decline, which is just not true if you stop and look at it. I've done several videos talking about the wins and losses, and when I talk about this movie in particular, Captain America: Brave New World is definitely a win for Marvel. This moves the story along in an interesting way and deals with having a new Captain America as well as a whole new team being formed. Finally, as I sit here thinking about the criticisms, the only real one that I can levy is that some of the scenes were shot in a way that I didn't like, specifically in the opening and the ending. And the dialogue throughout is kind of I would rather you deliver things differently. But with the situation that they were given with this movie, based on a show that came out about 4 or 5 years ago, having a character being transitioned from Steve Rogers to Sam Wilson, I think it was done well. I think that the franchise is firmly Sam Wilson's, Anthony Mackie's. I think that all the performances were really good based on what they wanted these characters to do. And this being a Marvel MCU film, it is not nearly near the bottom of their catalog. This is the same studio that brought you the She-Hulk television show. This is the same studio that brought you Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 3, Guardians 2. Everything that they make is not a masterpiece. But at the same time, you don't have to expect things to be so top tier. And I don't know what people expected from this, because expectations do matter. I went in thinking that this was going to be a fine movie, something that I put in the all right category. But it's actually a notch above all right to me. It's actually good. And so let me know your thoughts about that. Let me know your expectations for the film in the comment section if you choose to do so. And that's all I have for this one. I will come back later on and do a spoiler video talking about the things that I really didn't like and talk about them in detail, and also talk about the things that I really liked, because there were some things that I really liked that they did well. And so it's good to me. Let me know your thoughts. And that's all we got. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.